and I did not know no pain.
You like Latin music and are a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect those of KNLY 91.1 FM, The Boss, and affiliates.
Welcome everybody to Superhuman with Dr. V and Jason Phelps, where our goal each week is to kind of bring you the latest and greatest info on health and wellness and fitness and nutrition, and basically kind of help you live your best life. So
yeah,
I'm Dr. V.
Yeah, right there.
The what now?
That was a good elevator speech.
Hell yeah, man.
Better
you
than
like
I
that?
do.
You like that?
People ask me,
hey,
and I'm like, well, it's kind of a little bit of everything.
Yeah, we do everything, and who knows what we're going to do week to week. Next week is pretty cool. We're going to have a whole show on colostrum from the world's leading expert on colostrum. So that'll be interesting.
Breast
milk? It's not breast milk, but close.
Well, I might do it anyways.
So each week the show's getting easier and more fun. This week is another one of my favorites, because there's no set data we have to go through or no set agenda. We're just kind of have a Q&A and introduction. I have she's become close friend, colleague now, and I kind of wanted to bring her on the show because I really like the vision of her company and what she's trying to do, and it's Michelle Keys. So welcome to the show this week.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, she has the Keys ingredients, and if y'all just go back and look on the site, and we'll kind of show you. We're going to go over what the goal of her company is and how it came about, and kind of how she's helping people, especially in the kitchen. We need to get back in the kitchen, just like Dr. Mark Hyman is real big on this also. And it's really going to be one of the keys to getting back control of our health.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Yeah. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you.
Basically, I'm just going to start with what drove you to now, number one, like what's your background, but what kind of drove you to start the Keys ingredients and things like that?
Yeah, sure. So I have grown up Italian background, so cooking all the time, always with, we would never buy bottled tomato sauce, anything like that. So we started cooking a long time ago, and back in 2007, unfortunately, my son had a cancer diagnosis, and he was 3 at the time, and I just really couldn't understand how that could possibly happen to someone so young. And so I just, some people want to blame everybody else. My husband and I took this on as to what can we change to make him healthier. My husband's a chiropractor, and he was being regularly adjusted. I mean, we thought we ate relatively well, but when I dove in to start looking into nutrition, I had no idea what a GMO was back in 2007, and then I started uncovering that rock, and one thing just kind of led to another. I decided that maybe my food was homemade, but maybe it could be made in my home with better ingredients. So that's where I started. Our family turned around really quickly when we cut out meats from supermarkets and things like that, CAFO farms and things like that. Everything changed. Our bodies were changing. The way we felt was different. Some people don't think it matters, but I don't believe you
I
can.
would beg to differ, and I see it every time, and Jason does too.
Absolutely.
We see it all the time with patients and clients and things like that, and it's like, well, in fact, one of my first questions to every patient is, and you remember this,
I appreciated that so much.
Is number one, what is your diet like? And because everything starts from there. And everybody's answer is almost always, oh, it's clean.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Well, okay, and so I always push them. What does that mean? Take me through a typical day of eating. And what they think is healthy a lot of times
absolutely
is not.
Sometimes I'll ask people they say the same thing to me. I eat really well, and I say, so what would you avoid? And they say nothing. I eat everything. And I'm just like, well, then, you know what, I think that I can maybe tweak that a little bit. So my husband asked if he's at Woodlands Family Chiropractic, and he was like, man, if I could get my patients to eat like this, they would get better faster. The whole inflammation thing would be under wraps. And I said, all right. So we started a little bit small with a few recipes here and there, sharing them. And honestly, it's amazing that people don't make the connection between, headaches or back pain or anything with regards to nutrition. I find that the educators are the best clients. And I was really impressed coming to your office. I've never, ever had a practitioner sit down with me and ask me about my diet. And it was the first 20 minutes of the appointment. That's what I tell my friends and family. I'm like, this was a different appointment.
It doesn't matter what we do medically or what medication I tend to want to prescribe if they're not eating well. And literally, I mean, like I had a mechanic in there the other day, and he got it right away because I said, I mean, if you put crap fuel in your car, what do you get? So, and it's the same thing, but we don't think it can't be that simple is what everybody kind of go, it's not that simple.
Right.
And it literally is. Now, we're not saying it's going to fix everything, but
it's the biggest rock. It's the low-hanging fruit. Let's get
Well, you
that
probably
first.
deal with this a lot. They feel if they exercise enough, they can exercise it off.
Yeah, that is not the way it works
That's not the
way
at
it
all.
works.
And we tell most of our people, especially those that are coming in that are very new to all of it, that we're not even going to start you with a training plan. Let's get your food fixed first, because that's the most important part.
Yes.
And once we get the food under control and you're eating on a set schedule and we know exactly how everything affects you, then we'll start adding in the training component to it.
Yes.
And then we can start, doing that. But if you think that you're just going to out-train it, you're mistakes.
or diet it. And here's the thing is, and what we try to do is just, you said it perfect, is we have to be educators, because with a lot of people think, well, I've tried this diet, I've tried that diet. I'm not advocating a diet.
Right.
I'm advocating
Lifestyle.
what's healthy to eat and what's not healthy to eat.
You'd be
And
surprised, even not reducing calories all that much for people right off the bat, but getting them out of a
what makes up the calorie?
getting them out of that inflammation state,
Yes.
and all of a sudden, poof, their body just starts to function correctly,
Yeah.
and they can start processing food correctly.
And I think you both have experience with the people who will be like all on board, and they're going to jump in, like both feet in. And unfortunately, with nutrition, that doesn't do well. When they go home and clean out their entire pantry, I am the source of an argument in the home because I told them, so I always tell people, if you want to change your diet, why don't you take a week and just observe, keep a journal. Observe what you're actually. People have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah. Yes.
There was a bowl of raisins and peanuts there. I mean, I'm the only one home. Where did it go?
Right.
Every time you walk by, you're popping it. So blind eating is a big deal.
Absolutely.
And then I feel like a lot of people, one thing kind of led to another. They were like, you should do a video and you should write these down. And so one thing kind of led to another. And I wrote a curriculum. And I started in my husband's office, and we did classes there for a little while, and I had great people, but not a lot.
Right.
So I had an opportunity to move to Canopy in the Woodlands, which is the cancer survivorship, and that crowd they have blessed me. I go on Wednesdays, one Wednesday a
I
month.
walk by there every Wednesday and Friday, so
you
it's
do?
they're right down the hall from Dr. Eads.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that's where the curriculum's being taught right now.
Okay.
And they have, I send emails and they text me, but these are people, and I feel like because that was where I started, and this is where I ended up kind of full circling, I feel like it's a better fit. I'm still accessible to, we actually have now a health coach in our office that is teaching the curriculum in the office as well.
Right.
But, and then the cookbook, I want to cook better. I want to eat better, this and that. And then I will say, at the end of the conversation, the bottom line is always, I just don't have the time. So what I tried to do was take my family recipes, my husband's family recipes, and just kind of take them apart a little bit.
tweak them.
Yeah, and there's great cookbooks out there, but the list is this long of the method, and it just, if you miss something, then you feel like and people are so hard on themselves, and we're like I think the third generation since the Industrial Revolution, so it's quite possible their grandparents didn't cook. that they've always bought food.
Right.
So that's kind of what I've done with what's on your plate, is made it a little bit easier. The instructions are easy, and I'm Italian, so if the food is not good, I would be disowned. So.
Yeah, absolutely. We were just talking earlier about the Down to Earth, that show on Netflix with Zac Efron, and one of the big ones is the episode with Sardinia, and Sardinia is one of actually the original blue zone, and blue zones are places on the planet where they have the highest amount of centenarians, or people that live over 100, and so what they've done is they've really observed what they do. What do they do that's different and things like that. And in Sardinia, they still eat. In fact, there's this excellent scene. I highly recommend that show. But there's a scene with Zac Efron, and he's eating homemade pastas and carbohydrate. He goes, "Oh my God, I'm so happy to be eating carbs right now." And he says, "I didn't eat a carb." He said, "When I was doing Baywatch," he said, "I didn't eat a carb for 3 years or something like." But the thing about it is, there's a very big difference with processed and refined and GMO, but carbohydrates that have been stripped of anything healthy that resembles anything healthy, and proper whole food carbohydrates. So it's not about just going straight ketogenic or going for some people.
There's more to it.
There's more to it than that, than a macro. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot more.
Yeah, and so one of the things that we already made a couple of things from your book, and then tonight she just gifted me this, and I'm excited. And Hun, we're about to make this tonight. So she asked me, we're about to make some taco seasoning, some bison tonight,
Nice.
and so. But basically, so you started putting together the keys ingredients, and you started with the cookbook, but you stared putting together specific, is it recipes?
So
or
yes,
is
the
it
cookbook is broken
spices?
up. I did. So a couple of the recipes, I just kept, I'd give the recipe, and did you make that? No. So there were a few, without using a commercial kitchen, having to do all that. There's a few things that you can make in your own home. Spices were one of them. Jason from Yonder Way Farms carried the spices for a while, and they started making their own, and they're great. But the granola was another one, and crackers. I have a recipe for crackers that are just made of seeds and then eggs. And for people who can't eat seeds, I just say put them in your Vitamix or Blendtec, whatever, and just make it a powder. They almost look like wheat thins, but the ingredients are totally different than wheat thins. And everyone eats with their eyes first. So people who don't like, it's amazing that if you say the word healthy, that people just turn their nose up.
Yeah, they think it's like it tastes
that
good.
looks healthy, But so those things were made kind of off-site and then sent back to me, and I would bag them up. I did a meat rub that could be used on fish, meat, eggs. It had seeds and
a meat rub that's not sugar-based.
Correct.
Yes.
Wow.
Correct. And it does have.
Those are hard to find.
It has a little bit of coconut sugar in it for the caramelization of the meat, but nowhere near.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about the ingredients, is how much is in. So those kind of things I have, and we do have them at the office and available. People just wanted to buy those. The recipe's there. They could make it. It's very simple, but there are some things that people were wanting the shortcut, and I was happy to give it. So things like that I have, and the curriculum has the grocery list in there for week 1, and then the cookbook has the recipes. So they kind of go hand in hand.
Nice.
Now, is it specific to cancer survivors at Canopy, or can it be generalized?
It is definitely, it was generalized. I think what I do at Canopy is I get a little bit more specific, especially if they've had radiation, chemotherapy, anything that has damaged their gut. I always put them on a regimen of bone broth. And the other thing is, a lot of these people, their just bodies are under so much stress. And I said, every time you eat, when you masticate food, you have to, that whole system's got to fire up. So if I could get you on a pureed soup, like full of hearty vegetables and bone broth, then it will just kind of calm everything down. And you guys know that anything that is wrong with your body comes from toxicity or deficiency, and with the cancer patients, a lot of times it's both.
Now, with the bone broth, do you make it yourself, because that can be kind of labor intensive, or do you have any that you recommend?
So Yonder Way Farm has an amazing
we
bone
have
broth.
we have some in
yes.
there. It's so cool. I don't mean to cut you off real quick, but I thought about it when you said it earlier. It's so cool that had no idea that you were connected. Yonder Way delivers to our clinic.
And ours too today.
Yes. I didn't.
Yes,
I had no clue.
He delivers to us as well.
And there, for people that don't know, Yonder Way Farm is a great group. It's a great family-owned farm, and they're in, I believe, close to San Antonio, Fayetteville.
Yeah, Fayetteville.
And basically, they'll deliver. There are certain sites that they'll deliver here, but it's all grass-fed, grass-finished steaks and pasture, eggs and pork, and just very, very clean ingredients. And they have their own bone broth that they make, so we have some in our fridge, and it's just really,
so my
really
trick
good.
to bone broth, it's actually in here. It's
Okay.
So there's this roasted chicken recipe. Everyone loves a roasted chicken, like on a Sunday night or something, and you can keep eating off that for leftovers. But I do it every week, and then after making it, it was just super easy. But then the pot's all dirty, and I'm like, I'm not going to wash it. I'm just going to fill it with water, put all those bones back in, and it simmers for 24 to 48 hours. I strain it, and I keep it in the freezer. So we always, and it's a great base for everything. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
My wife is, she is the cook between us, right? And her family, she's from Scotland. Her family's from Scotland. So they're very much into using every part of every animal.
Yes.
That's very much her style.
And it's
I think
not wasteful.
Not at all. But the bone broth thing is something that we do. And then we use it to prepare things like our carbs. I make my brown rice with bone broth.
I do too.
Just
I
ways
do too.
to incorporate that where you're not just like, okay, I'm going to have a cup of bone broth, but you're actually using it to cook with.
Yes.
And there's a lot of things you can do with it.
Now, what kind of response have you seen from Canopy? And so is because it can be kind of hard going in the beginning there, but also how's it going with the office at your your husband's with patients? Yeah,
so there are some that do want to change their diet, and then we will hook them up with, her name's Kathy Gregory, she's wonderful, and they will work one-on-one with Kathy, and the ones that go in and go through the program, they do amazing. It's getting them to understand that this is not a diet, it's a lifestyle, and it is part of chiropractic treatment. I mean, your nutrition goes hand in hand with that. And so at Canopy, I feel like I have an absolutely captivated audience, and we go and we get raw and real in there. I mean, these women they're angry. They're angry that they were told that they could eat soy and soy milk, and boom, 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 those 3 have breast cancer, and they are angry about that, and I understand. And so they're thankful to have me, and I'm so thankful after what I went through, what our family went through with my son, that I'm able to give back truth. Because it doesn't matter what you eat. We were told that too. It doesn't matter what you eat, and I couldn't disagree.
Oh, they'll tell you that, and not to dog on MD Anderson or anything, but I've from patients personally, I've had some patients that come back and say, they told me that it doesn't matter the diet I follow. It doesn't matter the diet I follow. And I'm like, God, I mean, literally, it's 1929. Otto Warburg won the Nobel Peace Prize for something called the Warburg effect, and it showed that basically that cancer proliferates and grows and metastasizes in the presence of sugar. And I mean, it's something that's been well known. It's just kind of swept. But literally, I'll have doctors tell patients with very bad cancers that it doesn't matter what you eat. It has no idea. And there's so many that we've already seen and deemed as obesogenic, carcinogenic. And really, FDA here is asleep at the wheel. I mean, they really are.
Why is it that if I need good nutritional information from a doctor, it comes from a chiropractor? Why do our physicians, our MDs, not get
there's a lot of reasons. And medically, like I said, I feel blessed that I came not outside of medicine, but came at it from a different perspective as I did health and fitness and wellness first, and brought that into my medical practice. So it's a little bit different. You will find them out there, like the Mark Hymans and the people that we follow, but if you see them a lot of times, like even like Dr. Jason Fung.
He's amazing out of Toronto. These people they've gone through something themselves, and then
or like Fung, what he did is he was seeing it takes somebody like Dr. Nadir Ali, another person I follow. He's a cardiologist down in League City, and what it did is it takes something going, my patients aren't getting any better. It doesn't matter what I do. And
Mercola started the same way.
Yes, Mercola was like that too, and they get a lot of pushback, but they're right. And the thing about it,
fulfilling their purpose.
Yeah, and the thing about it though is again, and this is a perfect example. I literally just heard this, and what it was is a lot of times in the medical practice, you don't have the time to go in depth with the patient on their diet and their nutrition.
Right.
So it's easier, say like a type 2 diabetic, it's easier to titrate their insulin to the food that they're eating.
Yes.
Rather than, and control their diabetes that way, rather than because they'll tell them, they'll say, yeah, eat this, eat that, eat a low glycemic diet, and they don't even know what that means.
Right.
Right. For instance, low glycemic diet, bread. Bread is like a 75 on the glycemic index scale. Table sugar is like a 65. So you will raise your
Why
blood
have
sugar.
one piece when you can have two and
Yeah.
a glass of orange juice?
Yeah.
That's the diabetic diet in a hospital. It's
well,
insane.
Exactly. And so recently we had a doctor that, that was at a conference, and he said that him and his wife, because they had basically he had developed type 2 diabetes. And he had adopted a ketogenic diet and was doing great. And when he was asked, hey, do you recommend that for your diabetic patients? He goes, never. And
what's the disconnect there?
Well, exactly. And the reason being, and he was very honest, was because he doesn't have the time to go in depth with the nutrition with each patient. And it's easier to titrate the medication rather than to
It's easier to control it, too.
To control it too. And so what we'll say is you're a controlled type 2 diabetic if you're 7.5 or 8 on your A1C. That's not good. You're still diabetic. You're still doing damage to your vessels and things like that. It's better than 10 or 11, but still it's not good.
Right.
The other thing they're not being told is that you can reverse it. Virta Health is a national clinical model. They have clinics everywhere that is using ketogenic diet specifically to reverse type 2 diabetes.
And before insulin was invented, they treated
Oh,
diabetes with high-fat diets.
High-fat diet.
Which
yeah.
is, I mean, why change it
Yeah.
if...
And again, I know on the show y'all always hear me talk about ketogenic diet, but there's uses for it, and I'm not advocating for everyone.
Or all the time.
Or all the time.
Yeah.
Or all the time. Because
Yeah.
like me personally too, I follow like cyclical ketosis. I have times where I fast. I have times where I eat very ketogenic for a long time, and but it's still the quality, right? The quality
The
of
food
the
quality doesn't change.
The food quality.
I
doesn't
know.
change.
I always like the intermittent fasting and the fasting, and then people will be like, "Oh, I did so good until like 3 o'clock," and then that fast was sponsored by Oreo.
Yeah.
At the end of that,
Yeah.
I mean, of course you're not feeling any better. You just uploaded,
Yeah.
But well, that didn't work. Well, it depends what you ate afterward.
That's right.
So
the problem with the intermittent fasting that I see from clients is that they never really learn how to control the amounts of food they eat.
Yeah.
They don't. Portion control never becomes part of that
Yes.
for a lot of people.
Yes.
And then they feel like they're out of control binging during that window when they can eat.
Yes.
So if they get off of the intermittent fasting, they have a hard time not
Normalizing
eating
not
that way.
eating
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah, and it can really wreck people if you don't teach them portion control.
And I always, people will, well, there's so much out there, there's vegetarian and there's paleo and there's this and what should I do? And I said, you know what? I mean, I wish if you could just tap into your own innate. I said, there's no tiger out there in the jungle saying, dude, what should I eat?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they all know what to eat, but if you rid your refined food, you rid the packages, and you rid sugar from your
Start
body.
with the stuff that's crap.
Yes, just take it out.
Take that out first.
And you'll start to crave things that are real. And then, I mean, you should eat those things if
Yeah.
you're, but, to people, I mean, just today we get up and it's not really the coffee, it's what's going in the coffee. And that's boom, right at the beginning of the day. So, and if people say, I can't cut that. And I always say, I can't change I can't change what you're eating until you change your mind about what you're eating.
Well, it's a good start to the show. We're up to our first break, so we're going to go to some commercials from our sponsors, and we will be right back in a couple of minutes. Hi, my name is Dr. Willie Villarreal. I'm a board-certified family nurse practitioner, doctor of nursing practice, and owner and founder at Core Sports Health here in Conroe. At Core, we take a root cause functional medicine approach to help you achieve your optimal health and vitality.
If you're suffering from any of the following symptoms, we can help you through a comprehensive treatment plan that includes diet and nutrition, exercise and activity, hormonal balance, and stress reduction. For an appointment, please call us at 936-441-2673 or visit us online at coresportshealth.com. Thank you and hope to see you soon.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Hello, my name is Dr. Sadaf Javed. I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist and I see adults also. I've been practicing in the greater Houston area for the past 5 years and my practice is in the west side of town. In these unprecedented times, it is so important to check in with your mental health. Please pick up the phone and call 832-304-7244 or mycognitivepsychiatry.com and we would be happy to help. Thank you.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY.
Turn on your glam today. The Jenna Klein collection is here, elaborated with natural products. Give yourself a compliment with our organic lip glosses in more than 15 shades. With the Jenna Klein lip gloss collection, you can hydrate your lips and keep that glamorous look that you need. Turn on your glam. Visit jennaklein.com. And don't forget our skincare collection with natural ingredients that will improve the skin's appearance and prevent visible signs of aging. We have everything you need to achieve smooth and vitalized skin. jennaklein.com. Turn on your glam today.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. So we're going to just keep moving on, and we're here talking with Michelle Keys with the Keys Ingredients. And we're just going to keep going on. I had a couple of questions on, so is there a specific template or anything you say, like with the clients at Canopy or the people at Canopy? Is there anything that, as far as we talked about education. Where do you start with them? We, right before the break, we talked about, number one, like, eliminate the crap. And so for them specifically, sugar especially. And here's the deal, guys. My deal is not to completely demonize sugar, but even in that show, like that Down to Earth show, in that Sardinia episode, one of the top researchers in the world, his name is Dr. Walter Longo, okay? He wrote a book called The Longevity Diet. He's the head of the Longevity Institute at USC. He has studied for over 25 to 30 years aging, how to age properly and things like that. And he talked about it. He goes, and you said it too, Jason, it's not it's the amount. He says, I'm not saying not to eat sugar. He's saying, but there's a very big difference between 10 grams and 100 grams.
That's right.
Daily. And there's a very big difference between protein and, so.
And the quality of sugar today, I don't think people realize with sugar, that is on that. Sugar beets are on the list for GMOs. So sugar now doesn't only, it's not just from sugar cane, it's from sugar beets. So it's combined, which means every time your child is eating a piece of candy, they're having genetically modified ingredients and that is not, people don't even know that still today. They've been in our food source since 1986 and 1996, and people still don't know what they are, and they don't think they matter. This broccoli versus this broccoli, this has been sprayed, this hasn't. They look the same.
And
they
if you
taste the
don't
same.
think it matters for the people to say, just look at, use the trans fat story as a basis, because we were told forever
for a long
we
time.
were told it was healthy and allowed for a long time, and now we know that it's one of the leading causes of heart disease.
Yeah.
Right.
And so what they've done is, the Mazola corn oil, all these corn oils, those are another ones that I have patients stay away from. Any kind of, we call them PUFAs, polyunsaturated fats. Stay away from them. So they're not healthy, regardless of what that commercial says. Mazola corn oil.
Yeah.
They've changed their amounts of trans fat in it, but it's still they're not healthy for you.
And they're genetically
modified.
Yes.
So it's corn oils. Canola oil. There's no canola seed. People don't know that. Canola
it's the
is
rapeseed.
It's rapeseed and linseed, and canola is named because of Canada. It came from Canada, so it's canola oil.
Canadian. Can you guys believe
Yeah,
that?
yeah, and
Ontario,
so
right?
Yes, I'm not.
safflower, sunflower, all that stuff. So
Not
stay
proud.
away from those. And one of the biggest ones, soybean oil.
Oh, my gosh.
It's literally in soybean oil is something that nobody buys, but everybody eats every day.
Absolutely. So I always tell when I'm at Canopy, I'll say, if you go to HEB and those salad dressings are turned around.
The
I did
first
that.
thing.
I want people to know when they say made with olive oil that the first ingredient, and salad dressing is probably, it's expensive if you're buying several bottles, and it's the easiest thing in the world to make. And when you can add your own fresh herbs and change those flavors. But getting back to what you asked about Canopy, I have the curriculum divided into weeks, and each week has a different subject area. So I like that it doesn't matter if you learn about organic and GMOs before you learn about sugars. It doesn't matter what order you learn them in, and each of them are going to be it's going to be different. So some of them are past treatment, some of them are still in treatment, and and they're going to be, some of them are undergoing chemo and radiation, some of them are going one or the other. So they're going to be at different places, and that's why this is just flexible. I tell them all, if you are ready to change, I will walk you through it. We can start at ground zero and just cut the packages for a week, and then we dive into week one. And I have them make a couple recipes a week, and then follow the, learn about, and once they learn about better ingredient food, there's like, why wouldn't I, look where I am, why wouldn't I change this? And I think it's a great fit. I tell them at the beginning that I personally have never had cancer, and I feel, because I can't relate to them. But when I tell them it was my son, all of a sudden these tables turn. They feel like, oh my gosh, I would rather have it myself any day than my child. So it's a really great fit. And I love those women. I'll be sending them this broadcast because they bless me so much. And they are the people who are going to change and change future generations. A lot of them are grandparents. And they're like, well, I don't want my... But then it's testy, right? You're telling your son or your daughter or your son-in-law and daughter-in-law. The biggest advice I have is, don't be judgmental, because if they feel judged, people just shut down. So, and we moved recently, in the model home, they have their fridge stocked, so when the kids come in there, they get snacks and drinks. And my kids, typically they don't drink. We don't have soda in our house. They don't drink it. If they're out, here's the thing: I am not going to demonize them for it. If they chose that, I just nod at the time, but later bring it to their attention.
And it's education, and the thing about it is we'll tell them, hey, I'm not going to tell you to have it or not have it, but this is what it does.
Yes.
And you make your choice.
That's right.
And so that's the part is, and I've said it on the show before, that the problem with telling somebody that not to give a kid candy or any, it's like equivalent to stealing Christmas. Like, how dare you not tell them? How dare you? You're not letting them enjoy their childhood. I'm like, no, I'm trying to keep them from being type 2 diabetic at 15 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a very real deal. We've actually had to change the name from juvenile onset diabetes and adult onset diabetes to type 1 and type 2.
Type 2.
Because we're seeing so many type 2s in teenagers and kids even.
Sure. Well, I mean, your pancreas has only so much insulin. It's supposed to be a lifetime, but they use it every time you're eating sugar. It's got to be flushed into the system. And this is a crazy story. My daughter was super, super young, and Halloween and kids. Again, you feel so terrible if you're not going to allow. But she, we allowed her to have her candy. Yeah, go ahead. And she felt terrible. She was about 3 or 4, and my husband showed her the package of Skittles and said, "Now, do they look nice?" And she's like, "Yes." And how did they taste? They were so good. And how do you feel? And she's like, "Well, that's just mean," So, and I will say that the recipes in the book have been kid tested. So I don't. There's tons of. There's.
Show everybody the book. I don't think they can see it on the screen. Yeah, show everybody the book. Yeah, put it in the book.
I mean, there's a recipe in there, and it's for chocolate cupcakes, and it makes like a class size. Back in the day when you could actually bring that to school, and but there's no refined sugar and there's no flour, so they're made of black beans. And recently, people are like, "That's crazy," but I never tell what's in it. I just serve it, and that's what I try and tell my people at Canopy and anybody that I've worked with. I'm like, if
they don't see you make it,
absolutely,
they'll love it. Like,
and if the kids like it, then it's a win, because children have no shame in going, ugh, like they don't care about that. So I love that. And but with the recipes in here, they're quick, they're easy, and I feel like people do what they feel like they're good at. And if they're intimidated by cooking, I'm always like, just try it, just try one, and so hopefully that's where my goal is. If I can change even just one person's attitude attitude on trying to make, I mean, Mark Hyman is the biggest advocate of you cannot eat healthy if you're not eating in your own home and you're not cooking it for yourself. People want to believe that things like the FDA and the grocery store shelves are protecting, well, they would never put it out there if it was bad for you.
That's
not
true at all.
Not a true
Not
statement.
true at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
It's
biggest,
a business.
yeah, and not just that, but the biggest lobbyist group in all of Washington is not big oil, it's not big pharma, it's big food, big ag, and there's any number of books that expose all that if people care to read them. There, two great ones is one's called The Case Against Sugar, Gary Taubes, and the other one is called Salt, Sugar, Fat, and it's
love
by
that book.
Michael Moss. That one is amazing. He went
Talks
and
about the bliss factor.
the bliss factor,
Yes.
and people don't realize, they're like, yeah, I kind of knew that people don't realize the depth of how they design foods, the deviousness of how they design and then market foods, and
Wasn't
it's
Philip
really bad.
Morris? Didn't he buy out the
Yep.
food company, which
Yep.
is a tobacco company?
Yep. And they brought in the tobacco playbook
marketing,
basically to
right?
the food
And-
industry.
which addiction check.
Yeah.
People are like, well, that's a little harsh. I'm like,
No, it
I
is.
don't think so at all.
No, it is. People don't realize that since the early 1900s that what they would do to cigarettes is that they would soak the tobacco leaves in a molasses, and it was a very, very sugary substance because it lowered the acidity and it added sugar to the cigarettes, and it allows people to breathe it in deeper without eliciting a cough reflex, and also it addicts you quicker.
Yeah.
So again, sugar, they added sugar for the addiction factor to cigarettes. And again, they do it with soda. So they have this
Absolutely.
one, that bliss point that you mentioned. There's something that he talks about in that book called the bliss point, and what they do is actually run MRIs, and they actually look at the prefrontal cortex and the reward center, and what they do is they feed them, say, like 20 different yogurts, and they do scans, and they'll see which one lights up the reward center the most, and whichever one does, that's what they call the bliss point. It's the right amount of salt, sugar, and fat, and that addicts them and has them coming back for more. So that's in chips, that's in Oreos, and
All
that's
the
why people,
Pretty much in-
hyper-palatable stuff.
yeah, hyper
And then you
palatable
see
stuff,
like
yeah.
this line of chips is doing better this year. Well, then another one will pull ahead because they catch on, and food scientists will come in and tweak their sugar, salt, fat. It's insane.
And then all the studies that you always see, the studies that are done, guess who's doing them? They're one of the biggest one that they actually had to disband. It was called the Global Energy Balance Network, and actually they just got indicted because they were caught from 2013 to 2015. They were being paid by Coca-Cola to downplay the connection between obesity and Coke.
The
and so
doctors are just as easy to buy as politicians. There's no difference there, and that's something we're seeing a lot of in the media these days.
It's unfortunate though that and I've been asked to speak at different little like MOPS groups or in schools, and I actually did this presentation about ingredients in foods, and so I had just those boards printed up with just the ingredients, and I just said, if you think that what you're eating, let's just do a little test. So I held up, and it was all the ingredients were on there, and and I had guessers. They were like chocolate cake, this and that. Okay, put that one down. Pulled up another one. A lot of the same ingredients, but a little different here and there. And they guessed that too. Chocolate cookies, this and that. So I flipped them over, and one was Oreos, so they were right. The other one was cigarettes. And so the ingredient list, I know that they have 400 or 500 more toxic ingredients in cigarettes, but I would present that, and people are just blown away. And I'm like, I know it's a little extreme, but really it's leading you down the same path. And there are just a lot of people out there that they just don't know. And it's okay.
And the ingredient list. So one of the things I really push with patients is stop looking at the macros. Stop looking at just the macros, because what they've done is they've gotten very, very good at going, hey, it's only this many carbs or this many net carbs or whatever.
Yes.
What the hell is a net carb?
Exactly.
By the way? Come on.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell patients. He goes, you want net results? Count net carbs.
Yeah.
So basically, what they've done is I've had people read the ingredients because it'll have this much sugar, but it'll have maybe like raspberry jam or strawberry jam. It'll be strawberry, but then it'll be maltodextrin, corn syrup,
Dextrose.
high fructose corn syrup, and dextrin, like 4 different types of sugar.
Like Ensure that they give you in the hospital, I call it sugar,
Yeah.
sugar water.
Yes.
Because there's all those different, and that's what they give cancer patients.
Yeah.
And I disagree. I mean, we were making, when my son was having trouble swallowing or digesting, we would make him our own coconut-based, which, was back in 2007, just unheard of. But, it's amazing how crafty, and it's all in the marketing. It's very colorful labeling,
Yeah, it
for
is.
sure.
And so the
for
Ensure,
sure.
like what you're talking about, is they're still going back to the whole calories in, calories out. And again, some people will say like, oh, it's only calories in, and not, especially when it comes to sugar and things like that, because calories matter, but
They do
it's
matter.
more so what it does to your blood sugar. And a quick example is Dr. Dom D'Agostino, who's one of the top ketogenic researcher in the world. He's at University of South Florida, and he's been wearing a CGM lately. And I'm trying to get them at the clinic, but they're continuous glucose monitors. I can like strap to your tricep, and it'll continuously read your blood sugar throughout the day. That way, I can show patients what foods did to them.
Yes.
So his perfect example was, he says, look at this. He says, I had this breakfast, 700 calories. It was 4 eggs and sausage, and his blood sugar went boop, and that was it.
Yeah.
And in the afternoon, you just see this massive spike to 168. He drank 120 calorie, 9 ounces of almond milk. That was it. 120 calories.
It was sweetened almond milk. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was still 120 calories.
Right. And people think almond milk is good for you.
And that's what, so he finished it with, he goes, I hate to see what this, and he put quote unquote healthy drink does to people with diabetes.
Yeah.
And it's
True
just,
enough.
so it has more, and cancer. But
Of course.
So now, are there any specific ones that you would like lead, actually, sorry, I just got the note. We got one more, break from our sponsors, and we'll be right back to finish the show, and I'll continue that thought. I was going to ask.
Hi, my name is Dr. Willie Villarreal. I'm a board-certified family nurse practitioner, doctor of nursing practice, and owner and founder at Core Sports Health here in Conroe. At Core, we take a root cause functional medicine approach to help you achieve your optimal health and vitality. If you're suffering from any of the following symptoms, we can help you through a comprehensive treatment plan that includes diet and nutrition, exercise and activity, hormonal balance, and stress reduction. For an appointment, please call us at 936-441-2673 or visit us online at coresportshealth.com. Thank you and hope to see you soon.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
It started as a dream. When I was a little kid, I always wanted to have my own restaurant. And it was a dream that finally we had the opportunity to build it here in the Woodlands. And I'm so happy with it.
It's a really authentic Italian food. I try to maintain the most original possible. It's very important. Every day I make my fresh pasta.
Chi mangia bene, mangia
italiano.
italiano. Please come and visit us.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Hi everyone, this is Chef Laurent. I'm the owner of Taste of Paris, a catering company for seniors. If you want to know more about those services, give us a call at 832-415-7374 or visit our webpage at laurentvalsculinary.com. Thank you.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
All right, welcome back, and we will continue with that thought. I was going to ask Michelle, are there any specifics that you give to, say, like the cancer patients at Canopy? Any non-negotiables?
Yeah,
I know a few.
Non-negotiables, awesome. Yeah. I talk to them about. I talked to them about eating. I said, here in the United States, we eat too often and we eat too much. So I just want you to consider that when you're eating, and I want you to think about food as fuel. So is it going to build you up or tear you down? And that's where I started with all this. When I started looking at the immune system, I was like, okay, if my son gets out of treatment and he's immunosuppressed, well, what do I need to do to bring that back? And that's where I started. So I tell them, like, if you are a cancer patient or in treatment, you are immunosuppressed. If nobody's told you, that's what you are, and we need to build it up. So anything that's going to tear it down, number one is sugar. It's the number one weakener of our immune system. So don't never eat it again. And if you do come off your regimen, because I hate the word diet, please don't beat yourself up about it. You don't have to wait till next week, next month, or next year. You just have to wait till your next meal to get back on track and just make a conscious decision to do that. Once you remove self-sabotage from people, it's amazing the growth that Michelle says I could have the cupcake if I want, but there's probably be another opportunity. So when they think about it like that, and I'm not going to be like down their throat, if it was your birthday and you had a piece of cake, great. I hope you're using a better recipe, but if you didn't, no big deal. It's one day. Ask yourself the next time you go to eat a piece of cake, when was the last time I had a piece of cake?
And how can I make it better? Because it's like little things. So if this time, hey, can I make that cake a little bit better? Can I make it with Swerve this time instead of sugar? Or can I make it...
And do I need to eat the whole thing? Would I be perfectly okay if I just got 1 or 2 forkfuls of it?
Yes.
And I'd probably be just as happy. In fact, I'd probably be happier later knowing that, hey, I had control over that and I got to taste it. It was great. But I didn't eat the whole thing and feel miserable.
Exactly. Right? And just because if you had a couple of bites of it, you could maybe save it for dessert the next day. And, but if you're having, people just get used to, and I do ask them to cut out fast food. I said, the only fast food you should be eating is the really fast-running deer across your backyard. Not in your backyard, but you know what I'm saying. But
it's like,
let's clarify.
I do have deer running through my backyard.
Yeah, you can get some calls,
and I want to eat them. I promise I do.
You just have to go to a deer lease for that. However, I just like that. We want to create. I know it's convenient. I know it's very convenient to pull up and to a drive-through, order it, which I always say is never the window of opportunity, the drive-through. However, I want everyone to understand that you can create your own convenience. And that's what I have them do is, make a big batch of taco seasoning, so then you have it there and you're not having to make it every time you have tacos. If you have your bone broth already ready, you're not making it every time you... So I feel like if you're cooking a meal or a batch of something, soups, stews, and I always advise soups, stews, sauces, big batch them, because you're doing the work. Half the recipe is never half the time. So just make the whole thing. And they are family style in here. Like they're quite large recipes, at least for 4 to 6. And if you're one, make it, portion it, put it in your freezer. Most of them can be frozen, with the exception of like fish and things like that. But I feel like at Canopy, our plans are going to be a little bit different, and they're going to be ready when they're ready, and I'm there. Whatever steps they want to take. If they want to start, I always say, you know what, the reason, I don't think people wake up and go, I'm going to go to McDonald's today. Or I think maybe they do, but I think a lot of time it's in unpreparedness. And if they meal prep, I really feel that it empowers them, and they are making a better choice. And we always take the approach of good, better, and best. And that's where and you know what, maybe you can be a little bit better at exercise or a little bit better at your nutrition. But that approach seems to just relax people. Okay, so I'm not perfect.
Yeah, but it's a more empowered position to say, I chose everything I was going to eat today in advance, and I executed that plan that I had. And I feel great about it. Like, that's a very strong feeling to have at the end of the day that, I ate my plan perfectly today.
Yes.
And it helped that I had it prepared. And then you get to that day down the line, you're like, oh, I don't have anything prepared. And you feel just out of sorts and out of whack.
And I always say it's the peace of mind. And when you're, you're halfway through your day and you're like, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? So at the beginning of the week, I just draw out a meal plan, and I'll take a couple of hours here or there during the week. Maybe I meal prep twice a week, maybe it's once, but when that question arises, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? I know what I'm going to have for dinner, because if you don't know, it will haunt you, and then you're like, I don't have time, I've got to pick something up.
Lowest common denominator comes out.
Yes.
And that you said earlier about freezing portions of it,
Yes.
and having that kind of stuff available in a pinch when that you do get in that position. You're thinking, well, I do have bags of brown rice that are frozen individually, and I've got protein portions frozen individually, and I pick a couple of those and one of your sauces, and you're set. You know, like that, having that kind of stuff prepared and frozen is very
And
essential.
I call it like in case of emergency. I'll tell them to label a meal, make something extra, and you know, like a nice beef stew or chicken tacos, whatever you're making. And people will say to me, "Oh, so you don't like you would never eat a hamburger or you would never eat tacos?" And we eat absolutely everything, but it's good quality and it's got good ingredients behind it.
Yeah.
So.
And the other thing that I would stress is that they also need to treat that food, being that they are immunocompromised, if they do have cancer or had cancer just from recurrence, as part of the medical approach. If I would kind of frame it that way
Food is
too. Is
medicine.
it's medicine?
It
It
is
really,
medicine.
really is, and it'll make you sick or it'll make you healthy.
Absolutely.
Plain and
I
simple.
agree 100%.
Now, going with the whole eating out, we had talked about this on the break, so we kind of want to we kind of wanted to touch.
So let's give you a
touch base.
scenario.
Yeah.
It's the kids' first week of school, right? And a lot of parents by the end of the week are pretty fried, and they're going to take their 2 kids and husband out to dinner. Where are some places around here that you, up top of mind, that you would go to?
So I look for places that support what I believe, and there are lots of places around here in the Woodlands that support local farms. I'm a dear friend of Chef Austin at Tris. He also has the kitchen, and so my son recently just got a job there as well. So I think the kitchen, it's unfortunate because COVID, they had the best salad bar on the face of the earth. I would do this whole Mediterranean salad thing, and they had little domades, and it was amazing. Closed right now, but I'm sure we'll open again soon. But they're reasonably priced for the quality that they have. They have quality food in there. So that's probably my top 2.
I will tell you, he did create a couple salads to take its place. So there are salads on the menu now that
I have
are
not tried
curated,
those. I
and
have
they're
not
amazing.
tried those
And
yet,
I was
so-
there Saturday for
You
the burger. Speaking of a burger,
Yeah.
again, if I don't ever not eat a burger, but the burger I eat is there. It's like his goulet beef, and it was a vindaloo burger, so that's not on the menu. You have to ask for it.
Okay,
and it's very, very, very good. The flavors on it are just. So it's just really good. But I mean,
And I know
that's
Tris is more of a high profile, like a fancier restaurant. I absolutely love it there. Their service is amazing, and they have an amazing happy hour that they've just reopened up. So those 2 are my always my top 2. And then I will look at other places where there are healthier options. So I've been to Bella Green as well.
We were there Sunday.
I like
We were there Sunday.
I like that place.
Yeah, their tacos are
The fish
outstanding.
tacos,
Oh man, those are
yeah,
good.
they're excellent.
They have a summer salmon taco that they had this morning. And it's made with almond flour tortillas.
Is it a salmon ceviche or is it cooked salmon?
It's a cooked salmon.
Okay.
It's really good. That's
Okay.
what I had Sunday. So that's another great one.
And then you said you also went to Zanti. this past
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Because we saw the commercial.
So I love a good eggplant parmesan. They have a great eggplant parmesan. Yes.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Well, they're
Very
right
good.
down. They're down the street from us. So
And they're
we
right
need to go
beside
try
my
them.
children's school. So that's all. Yeah. They're right
Easy
beside.
in and out. Well, we still haven't been there.
Oh, you need to go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we haven't been able to go there, and but we want to go there. But also we like Tris is our favorite all time restaurant, but the kitchen's good. Our kids love True Food. We go to True Food a lot.
Yes.
True Food is really good.
Their burger's pretty good.
Theirs is really
Yes,
good.
their
The problem I have with True Food is you can't get anything low fat there.
Yeah.
Nothing. They do very high fat meals there.
That's why I like it.
And exactly, which fits your
That fits
perfectly.
me too.
There's nothing on the menu I can eat there. Not one thing. So
Flower
the food
Child
is
is another one.
fantastic, but man, it kills me.
They have great bowls there, and the whole fast food thing with children. You're running. You got to go to a game, whatever. Chipotle, they stand behind no GMOs.
Right.
So that's one of my non-negotiables. For my own family, and then I tell all the cancer patients I work with.
Real quick, touching on beef, just like you, because you talked about it earlier. There's a really great book out by Rob Wolf. It's called Sacred Cow, and it just came out.
Okay.
And so actually, we're trying to get him on the show, but he's it really talks about the big differences between a beef that's come, say, from like Yonder Way Farms, or beef that's at any, I'm not going to name the names, but any big supermarket.
Just say HEB.
Well, yeah, HEB.
That's where we all
and
shop.
and it's mixed, so it's not coming from one cow. It's coming from
Correct.
hundreds of cows.
Yeah.
And
And at Yonder Way, I think that their beef is whole cow ground. So it's not just the tidbits and things that are left over from the cuts of meat. There are specific cattle that are for the ground beef. Their beef is amazing, and people will be like, well, and on my Instagram page, you have to probably scroll through the pictures, but I fried up the beef, and then I put it in the refrigerator. I didn't season it on purpose because I wanted to show the fat was as white as my countertop. And I took a picture of it on a little cutting board. The fat is pure white. It's pure. It's not yellow like corn-fed things. So it was really interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, so any other favorites?
Let's see. That's honestly, that's all the places that we go. I don't know that there's anywhere else in the Woodlands area.
We found recently Balanced Foods. Balanced Foods. It's what kind of what My Fit Foods used to be. They have some clean.
You need to get your numbers right if you want us to use it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your numbers are wrong.
He's talking to his
and you know it. Fix it.
But yeah, they've been an easy.
That's
There's been an easy thing to pick up as far as convenience. So now, we could talk again, just like with every guest, for another hour. But we're up to we're at the end of the show.
So where can we find you?
Where can we find you? That was my next question.
Oh, that's so sweet. On my social media pages and things, I'm home raising my children, and on a kind of like an on-call basis into the clinic. If anyone would like to meet with me there, we do have Kathy Gregory, who meets one-on-one. I'm more of the teacher, so I like classes more so. Woodlands Family Chiropractic right down the street, 128 Vision Park Boulevard. They take great care of everyone that comes in. It's definitely a family place. And then people who I really do reach out social media wise, Instagram, Facebook, and the books and everything are at the clinic, but they're also on Amazon. Right. So if you are listening and you're out of state or whatever, you can just jump on and you can grab the curriculum. And I do have a holiday book, a holiday cookbook. It's very old, but the recipes are the recipes we've been using for years.
And where do they find that on Amazon? What's it called?
This one is Plan, Prep, Eat, Repeat. And then there's What's on Your Plate. And if you just go onto Amazon into books and search Michelle Keys, there'll be 3 that pop up. Okay. And Keys is Keyes. So.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Facebook, Instagram.
Facebook, Instagram. I think I bump to Twitter every now and again. I'm terrible with social media. The website is a lot of.
He pulled them up. He pulled it up on Amazon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. The books look outstanding. Just from glancing at them here, they are high quality. The pictures are are outstanding.
So there was a graphic design artist that worked at the kitchen.
Oh.
I got to know him, and he did this for
Awesome.
me. So it just kind of goes full circle.
They're beautiful books. So
Thank you.
Wow.
I know they're doing construction outside.
They're doing construction outside, so that's what y'all have heard through the show, and that won't be here next week. But anyway, so man, it's been a really, really great show. I look forward to working more with you and seeing your husband also.
Yes.
But we'll gladly have you back.
I would love that. I would love that.
And we'll maybe pick some specific topics, but
maybe next time bring food.
Yeah,
bring food.
Yeah. I actually was thinking about bringing that granola that you had made, but we ate it.
You ate it? I'll have to replenish.
Yeah. So anyway, so we're going to be signing off. So thanks everybody for joining the show this week, and join us next week as we welcome Dr. Anthony Kleinsmith, and we'll be talking about colostrum. So that's going to be a really cool show for people that don't know what it is and what it does. But he's literally the world's leading expert on it. So and for performance, for health and wellness, and
take your colostrum first thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning.
Empty stomach.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Well, I can't wait to pick his brain. But basically, thanks for joining us, and thanks to Michelle Keys for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Jason, I will see you next week.
Yes,
we will see y'all. We'll see everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.